Illustrator has powerful and flexible type controls that help you to create and format type in virtually any way that you wish. There are a few things you need to know, however, before you dive in head first. Let's take a closer look at the type options in Illustrator. Now, I'm beginning this video with the typebasics.ai file already open on my computer. And I want to point out that if I go to my Layers panel, I've locked all of the layers except for the footer layer. And that's where we're going to be doing all of our work. So you're going to want to make sure you click on that footer layer so that all the content you create will be created on that layer. Now, one other thing I'm going to note is that if you open this document, you may get some font warnings because you don't have the same fonts loaded on your computer system as this document requires. If that's the case, I encourage you to simply replace the fonts with some equivalent type so that you can follow along in this video. Now, to begin, I'm going to zoom in to the lower left corner of this document. And I'm going to go ahead and select my type tool. Now, the first way that I'm going to create text is using this cursor. I'm simply going to click once with my mouse. And you're going to notice that my cursor is now active so that I can type some text. So I'm going to go ahead and type the word brand in all caps. And it's going to utilize the default font on my system. Now, I'm going to go ahead and change that. I am going to use Hypatia Sans for this font, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight that value. I'm just going to start typing Hypatia, and then I can click Hypatia Sans Pro Black, and I'm going to change the point size to 14 and the color to white. Again, if you don't have this font on your system, simply use Myriad Pro Black or even Bold at the same color and size. Now, I'm going to switch over to the selection tool because I want to focus in on the type of text that has been created. Now, when you simply click with the type tool to create text, it creates what's referred to as point type. And in the latest version of Illustrator, there's an easy way to tell what type of text you're working with. So you can see this little adornment on the right-hand side is currently white. And that is indicating that this is point type text. Now, what does that mean to you and me? Well, what it means is that if I were to double click in here to get my type cursor in there again, and I add some text, you'll notice that as I continue typing, it's just going to continue creating text in one long continuous line. Now, the other difference is that if I undo the typing of that text, I'm going to switch over to my selection tool. The other big difference is that with point type, if I click on the handle over here and I drag, it's going to stretch my text. Same thing in the vertical direction. So with point type, you're not actually altering the frame, you're actually distorting the text. I'm going to undo that twice. Now, if you wanted to do this proportionately, you can simply hold down the Shift key on your keyboard as you drag the corner handle, and that will scale it proportionately. However, you have to remember that you can very easily distort type when using point type. So I'll go ahead and undo that. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. And I essentially just want to position this. I want it to be aligned with the shopping text, so I'll use my smart guides here. And then I'm just going to center it as best I can right now within this first section here. Now let's go ahead and create another area of point type. So I'm just going to click again, and now I'm going to type read more, and I'm going to select that text. Now again, it's now using the last font that I had chosen, which is Hypatia Sans 14 point. I'm just going to change this to paper or white again, and now I'm just going to go ahead and kind of align this to the text above. So that looks pretty good. Now, the next type of text that we can create is what's referred to as area type. And the way that we create area type is just slightly different. If I grab my type tool, I'm now, instead of just clicking, I'm going to click and drag to define an area in which to put my text. So you can see now by clicking and dragging, it defines a frame, and now I can type some text in here. Now I'm totally going to cheat because I've copied some text and I'm now going to paste it in there. So if you want to, you can pause the video and type this text in yourself. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this now, and we're going to change this text is going to be Warnock Pro. A good substitute for this would be Garamond Pro. So I'm going to make that Warnock Pro. I'm going to change this to bold italic. And I'm going to change the size to 12 points. I'll just make that change here. I'm going to change this to be white as well. Now, the difference with area type is that now you can see that the adornment over here is solid, indicating that it's area type. So what area type allows me to do is I can drag this handle, and now you'll see that the type reflows within the frame. So instead of stretching it as it did before, it's reflowing. It's just taking on the shape of the frame. And you'll notice if I go too small, I'll get a new indicator, which is a overset text indicator. So I'm just going to go ahead and change this. I'm going to open this up a little bit. And then I can readjust this. And if I wanted to, I could just move this up a little bit. And if I wanted to, I could select all of these. And using my Align panel, I could center all of these to one another. And I could just drag this up a little bit. And now we have the text, that we're looking for. Now, the other thing that's new in the latest version of Illustrator, I'm going to go ahead and come over here. You can see that this shopping text, as indicated right here, is point type. But in the latest version of Illustrator, you can quickly convert between area type and point type by just double-clicking on this adornment. And you'll notice the minute I do, it changes to solid. And now, if I open up this frame, you can see it's not stretching. It's just adjusting to the size of the frame. So if I make this small enough, it's going to want to wrap within that frame. And at any point, if I want to change it back, I'm just going to undo this for a second. If at any point I want to change it back to point type, I just double-click, and now it's back to being point type. As you'll see, this is going to stretch if I open it up. Now, to take this even to an additional level, we can do a lot of great things. First of all, what they've also done, if you go to the Select menu under Object, we can now easily select every point type object. In this case, in the layer, is getting selected. And if I go to Select Object and choose Area Type Objects, now all of the area type objects are being selected. But we could go one step further. So let me show you a nice little trick that they've added in Illustrator. You'll see that I have these 4 point type objects. If I open up my Layers panel, you'll be able to see that these 4 objects are selected right here. Now, I am going to point out that I do have them in the proper stacking order in the Layers panel. But what I can do now is with all of these selected, I can go to the Type menu, and I can choose Convert to Area Type. And now every single one of these has been converted to area type. Now, what's even more valuable is that with all of these still selected, I can go to the Type menu, Threaded Text, and choose Create. And what that has done is threaded or connected all of these frames together. Well, what does that mean for you and I? Well, if I delete these bottom 3, you'll see that it removed the frames, but look at this first one. I have overset text. And if I open this up, look at that. All of this text is now inside of one single frame. So I can open these up a little bit, and you'll see that now this is one continuous frame of text. And this is something we've been wanting forever, and they've really done a great job in this latest version of Illustrator, giving us a lot of power and control for modifying area type and point type and switching back and forth between the two. As you can see, the improvements made to type in the latest version of Adobe Illustrator makes it easier than ever to adjust type any way that you wish. With this much flexibility, it's sure to save you tons of time in the long run.